Oh, Pearson gets it in the 95 of Bolts. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 the lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Fuji Speedway, spectacular Japan, and we are welcoming you to tonight's event as we are currently heading into open qualifying. You can see the drivers getting out of their boxes right now. I am your host, Gareth McAllister, bringing you the action in 1080p, 60 frames per second, if my good old Aussie internet down under allows me to do so. We are bringing you the action from the Just Two Idiots Cup Series J2ICS, specifically their Endurance Series, and we are getting ready to get down to business as we start to look at, let's have a follow on with our new face that we haven't seen for a little while. I certainly don't think that I've seen since starting to call the action here for you tonight. Spring Flower, a Frenchman coming in to tonight's event in a very nice decked out Porsche that is looking very nice indeed. GTE machines here tonight. We have a 2.83 mile circuit here at Fuji Speedway. 90 minutes of racing up to come once our 15 minutes of open qualifying is done and up away with. We are at round 7 of the 8 races that we will be heading to for this season. In 2 weeks, we have our crown jewel to cap it off at Indy Road Course. So definitely look forward to that. But a lot of action still to be had here at Fuji, as the pit speed is also going to be limited to 35 miles an hour down an incredibly quick front straightaway. So definitely something that we're going to pay attention to, as these drivers are going to have to stop very, very quickly and avoid getting caught up in the barrier, as the little split between the lane entrance and the roadway. Nice apex there from Springflower as he keeps making his way around the bottom half of the circuit. Currently sitting in the driver's standings, Dixon up front with Simply Steve passing Tonlo after a couple of weeks ago when we had our race at, I want to say that I have not forgotten, and that would be correct. It was at Homestead Miami Speedway, as Eat My Dust sets in the fastest lap at the moment. We're going to see what Spring Flower can do, and the spin is what he can do at the moment. Let's see if that may be all it is for this particular lap. Definitely hot tires. You want to heat them up the old-fashioned way, and that's how you do so. Dickinson sets the fastest lap of the time. You know who? Also coming in with a very quick time tonight. Now, our fastest laps in practice were all set by Nodovan in practice 1, 2, and 3. They time of 1:36.361. Already that time has been beaten by both Dickinson and you know who, setting very, very quick lap times here already. Here on the left of your screen, we've just pulled up for you the times that these drivers are running. We've got about 20 drivers who have made their way out on circuit tonight. So very much looking forward to seeing what is what. We have in team standings Upfront Motorsports bringing up in the top spot with Speed Squad, only about 7 points behind. So it is very much a battle right down to the wire for the top two teams of Upfront Motorsports and Speed Squad. Love Seat bringing it home in third, a little bit let down by Captain CK, one of the team members of that group, with Nick Beaver not able to attend the last few races, and it looks like he may be missing this one as well. But as we all know, work takes priority as well as life in general. But we very much appreciate the drivers coming out, spending some time going around the circuit. Certainly helping me pull off the best possible broadcast I can for you, as well as we have had plenty of action on circuit for a little while now, as well as plenty more to come. We've got 48% fuel in these cars. We've got an estimated pit window of around about 25 to 30 minutes. A drive through at 16 incidents and every 8 incidents after that. These drivers do have a tyre change available to them if they would like it. I'm not sure when you will be seeing one tonight though, as I don't think track temps are hot enough to really warrant it. And you will lose more time than you will gain in pit road if you choose that strategy. Once again, welcome to Fuji International Speedway, the GP layout, brought to you by Paper Bag, is our Mount Fuji Giggles Grand Prix sponsor for today's event, as well as the series sponsor, Designers Home Gallery. You can see in the top left, once again, really just coming in and sponsoring the entire endurance series. For over 2 decades, Designers Home Gallery has been saving the world from ugly floors. Now saving the world from ugly racecraft as well. If you're passionate about racing, check out the services provided by Designers Home Gallery and J2ICS.com as well. They will sort you out and get you kitted out to do as well as you possibly can. Now these drivers all very accommodating, and as you can see, all very happy to have some very interesting nicknames. These drivers, we talk to them week in, week out. Why do you have the nicknames? It makes the job in the booth a little bit harder, but it makes them have a bit more fun on track. So I tell you what, all the power to them, and I very much love the attitude by almost all of the drivers in this league. That sounds a little bit worse than I wanted it to. Let's say all the drivers in this league. I don't have a beef with anyone, must be said, as I do love all of these guys. As we're currently watching Nodovan to see if he can better his time once again. Just over halfway into our qualifying run here tonight. Once again, and as always, let us know who you're cheering on and bring it up to our attention in the spectator area. Very much love to hear from you. Maybe have a chat or two, bit of fun here and there while we are racing away. Penny Dixon, I see, has joined us in the chat as usual. Very happy to see Penny out here supporting Scott Dixon out in front at the moment. And you can see Dixon there just heading out, so we'll jump on board the gyro cam of Scott Dixon. Dickinson, sorry, apologies for that one. Just got to remember the in bit. You can see very, very cut, very close to the inside bollard as well as the outside. Not wanting to get an off track there. Got a long sweeping right-hander here. But a very, very tight, horrible off-cambered left-hander. I can get very loose on exit, doing a great job there, not letting it do so. Now he's going to take it easy because he is in his outlap stage at the moment, creating a bit of separation between himself and the car in front so that he can set an absolute banger and keep himself holding on to that top spot. I find this gyrocam as well really gives you a detailed perception of just how the body roll is operating in these machines. GTE cars, once again, no TC, no traction control, and no anti-lock braking system to help these drivers in their merry way, especially over an hour and a half's racing. Dickinson with an almost perfect line into T1. We'll see if he can follow it up with T2. Fast kink. Nicely done. Keeps it inside the track, all four tyres. Sweeper might have carried a slight bit too much speed, pulls it back. A little bit too early on the apex, I would say, on the left there, but there is a reason why I am up in the booth and Dickinson is in the car, as he is able to squeeze every last bit of time out of this machine. Twisting the curb. Nicely done, keeps it very much under wraps. Now this is where the car can get very, very loose. We'll have to see how much wheel input he does. Looks like it's fairly tidy. Has to have a little bit of opposite lock, but it's okay. He keeps it together. And around for the final corner, down to the very, very quick final straight. See if that was a new best time for Dickinson. A 1:35.5 to beat. And not able to do so, it would seem. But still setting an incredibly fast time. Although we're being shown that he may have actually beaten his time, but it was so close to the original time, I don't think registered all that well on our timing software. Tonlo make his way around the circuit now as well. Still got Eat My Dust, Tonlo, Nonovan, Sector, AJ, Biker Pilot, Nick Beaver, Simply Steve, and McMurk out there today. Speaking of McMurk, let's have a quick look at him. I'm sure with the name McMurk, very unhappy there is no Mercedes GTE that he could use for the series. But making the most of that Ferrari regardless. He makes his way bottom section of the track, a little heavy on the brakes, just making sure he can rotate that car. 27 machine, not looking like it's behaving exactly how McMurk wants. Hopefully, as qualifying is about to wrap up, a little bit of a lock up of the brakes there. We can see now we've shown you a Corvette, we've shown you a Porsche, and we've shown you a Ferrari. Let's go to the only Ford out on track, and that is going to be Nick Beaver, representing the Blue Oval. One of those drivers we routinely say is a bit of an arrive and drive enigma. He will turn up, not drive a whole lot of laps, and somehow find his way towards the front of the pack. Now, this is probably very heavily reliant on the fact that I believe he is a real-life racing driver, but able to absolutely get as much performance as possible out of almost every car he drives, no matter the discipline. Another car guy joining us as well in chat. Welcome. It already is time for the Idiots Cup Series. Welcome back once again. Saying today's the day with a Finding Nemo reference. Gotta love it. Today's the day. The sun is shining. The tank is clean, and we are getting out of. Tank is clean. Ah, that's one of the best movies ever. And by the way, Australian movie. Well, very heavily Australian anyway. And I would argue probably one of the best movies of my childhood, and I'm sorry if I am making anyone else sound a bit older out there. I apologize, but I am not beat around the bush. That was definitely a childhood movie of mine. As Beaver has a little bit of a wobble and a wiggle, but he's still going to be able to make his way back to the starting point as our lone final qualifier out on track. Going to be Simply Steve. Now, Simply Steve operating from the complete opposite side of the country on a rig used by a completely different person, signing into his account. Absolutely desperate to hold on to that second place in the driver's standings. And he has had to figure things out incredibly quickly with very, very little time, as he has made a desperate attempt to keep face here, and it is looking like it's going to be very interesting seeing some of his lap times. We'll see if he can reel that in and catch back up to battling with Tonlo and Dickinson for the top 3 spots. We do have quite a few battles in the team standings. As I say, we have Upfront Motorsports battling with Speed Squad in our first place battle. In 5th, we've got Rookie Mistake, BDS Racing, and Neon Nuisance, Also, all battling for the 5th place spot. Battling for 10th in the team standings, Bong Life Motorsport and Bob Nova Racing. And 15th in the standings, also with a triple battle, Team Garlic, Dem Motorsports, and I think that's Masshole Motorsports. So they are all heated battles going on in the team standings. We're going to have a look up front as Dickinson is going to start on pole up here, and it looks like it's going to be a good show. You know who starting alongside both of these drivers, showing incredible pace to begin with. We'll see if they happen to get it in each other's way, especially on that long straightaway. We can see 3 and 4 wide sometimes happening on the way down into turn 1 here at Fuji Speedway, which also brings us to Joshua Spears in the 3rd place spot, as well as Nodovan in 14th. They'll be looking to make a jump and maybe use that draft to really go past you-know-who and Scott Dickinson towards the start of this race. Tonlo and Eat My Dust starting in the 5th and 6th positions. DC starting in 7th with Spring Flower putting on a great showing in the 8th position. Sector starting in 9th with good old Nicolator, the butt of everyone's joke, starting in the 10th spot. Fast South in 11th with AJ in the 12th position as we keep running through the grid. 13th with Biker Pilot and 14th with Joe Albanese. 15th has Mr. Book with Nick Beaver starting in the 16th position in the lone Ford out there tonight. Garlic Dog, the most improved racer 2 years running. Could it be 3? Who knows? It could be his time once again, starting in the 17th position with Simply Steve in the 18th spot on a rig on the other side of the country, and McMurk in the 19th position, bringing up the rear. It is going to be a good one to look forward to as the pace car makes some space. These drivers want to check up the field, so it's going to be a very interesting run to turn 1. Let's see how we go. As the pace car still out in front, these drivers all sitting nose to tail all through the field. As the pace car, you can see there, the Porsche has brought it down behind pit lane. We're going to get the green, and there it is. The drivers start with a nice jump already. The two teammates, you know who, and Joshua Spears, side by side. Dickinson out in front, going to hold the middle. What is going to happen on the inside here? Nodovan tries to force his way through everyone. And 3 wide into turn 1. Somehow everyone makes it stick. Dickinson still out in front. Nodovan making up 2 spots into the 2nd place for the Corvette. Will he make it up even again? One more again. Scott Dickinson tries. Sean Dickinson getting confused a little bit with some V8 Motorsports people in the big old real life score. Oh, there was a bit of a nudge there, almost, between the two teammates as Joshua Spears goes a little bit too deep for the tyres, needing to warm up. And Tonlo right behind is looking to pounce and take advantage of that one. It's not going to be here though, as they file in and someone went for another spin. I believe that was Sector drifting it through. Very tight right-hand hairpin, but somehow keeping it together, and what a fantastic job of everyone to avoid and keep together with that one. Everyone's still looking pretty good. Book on the outside, he's gonna have to go all the way out. Might have a slowdown for that one. I'm sure the stewards will be looking at that a little bit harshly as Barsouth tries to make his way around the outside. We're going to have some more drafting battles towards the front of the field. Here comes you-know-who. Those Porsches seem to just have a little bit of an edge. Springflower in the 10th position. Be trying to dive on the inside of Nicolator. Able to make it stick. Nicolator gives the room. There we go. Beaver already up 8 spots in the Ford. You can see just at the bottom of camera as Nicolator goes for a lunge. I think there may have been a little bit of contact there between him and Springflower. Both doing a great job though of not losing it early on in this one. We've got a lot of spectator action going on as well, so once again, we very, very much appreciate you taking the time out of your lives to come here, listen to a wild Australian talk random bollocks, and watch some cars go around a circuit as Nodovan really holding on to that 2nd place spot. You-know-who is desperately trying to see if he can force Nodovan into an error, but he's going to have the draft down the straightaway. May actually not be enough. Look at Nodovan pulling. So maybe Nodovan has the speed set up. Eat My Dust trying to come with as well. I wonder if the Corvettes might have a little bit of advantage down the straight. As you can see just how close though you-know-who catches back up when it comes to the turny, twisty sections. Go a little bit further back in the field with AJ, and who was that? Nicolator with the Beamer as well. I believe that. Who was the Beamer? I believe that was Joe Albanese. Yes, it was. So we'll have a look at what happened there. This, I believe, is... Oh, we missed this one as well. So Beaver had to take the interesting route, and that's what led him back in the pack. And let's try and have a look what happened here. So we're looking on with AJ and... Whoa! Alright, let's try that once more. Have a look at Nicolator. That's a little bit too far back. There we go. So yeah, Nicolator just lost it and almost gets run into by a Joe Albanese pushing far too wide. And speaking of, look at them side by side once again. No love lost between these two, as it looks like this time around Nicolator's going to take that spot back, and does so. Back up front, things are looking interesting. Dickinson has got a 1.5 second lead over Nodovan, who's still holding on to the second place. A little bit further back though in the 18th spot. We just witnessed McMurk having a lot of a look underneath. Garlic Dog Biker Pilot is right there as well. They're going to make a move around the outside. That's going to be a real risky one. Only 6 minutes into this race, but he's going to make it stick. Lots of room left between these two drivers. Still going side by side. And McMurk is going to hold on to that position. As we said, going back up front, Nodovan still hanging on. See the real twisty section at the end of the circuit plays into the strength of you-know-who. Closing right up onto the back bumper, and we'll just see how quickly Nodovan can pull away. And you can see he is gapping. Look at that. He is just pulling away on the straights. Even with the draft, you-know-who just doesn't have enough. And come into the braking zone, it all changes. As they squeeze back up to one another. Hearing a lot of pops and bangs. Not sure if you can hear that as well from the back of the Corvette. Donovan's exhaust absolutely screaming with the effort of keeping you-know-who at bay. Got a little bit of separation happening now. Dickinson up ahead by 1.7 seconds. You can see him just on screen for a split second at a time as we're looking at this battle for the second spot. Donovan, you-know-who up ahead of Eat My Dust in the 4th position with Joshua Spears right behind. So Eat My Dust has made that spot. As that is your top 5. Couple of gaps throughout the field once you go past those. And we've got another battle going on between Nicolator and Albanese. Still have yet to decide who wants to take the lead of who for the 12th place spot. If memory serves me right, the BMW is quite Spartan on the interior. And it looks like there it is. AJ just making the move back across past Spring Flower. Now I believe Spring Flower made a move on AJ earlier on in the race, a few laps ago. So this battle is looking like it may continue for a little bit, as they fight for a top 10. Or for the top 9, excuse me. Let's see just how many cars are in the screen. We have a pretty full circuit at the moment, and it is very, very nice out on track at the moment. No one's got a little bit too crazy for their own skills so far. I'd like to thank the Tube Surfer as well as another car guy and Penny Dixon as always for joining us in the spectator area for another endurance event, and it looked like Sector was almost losing the tail end of that Corvette, able to keep it together. That should be a pretty nice run at the back of Springflower now. Let's see if he can chase Springflower down. That pink Porsche just in front. Look at the gains. Driving to the inside, and who can blame him? Here comes Sector. Fighting for that top 10 spot. Loses it a little bit. Keeps it together. What a correction. Great stuff. Losing the spot to Nicolator in the process, but incredible save nonetheless. As 5 cars very, very close together, all biting for that top 10 spot. Oh, look at that. Joe Albanese not wasting any time at all. Already trying to make a move on Sector. That's going to cost him, though. A little bit of contact, it looked like, between him and Simply Steve. Who once again has been thrown into the deep end with a completely other person's sim rig. I believe a work colleague. And trying something a little different. Getting a fantastic run as well, so he's going to see if he can use that momentum. And drops out of the draft pretty quick. It's going to be a drag race between the two. So we try and get the right angle. It looks like it's going to be easy for Simply Steve. He's going to stay to the inside because he does not want Albanese to make another way around. We see a massive puff of smoke, and we've got an incident involving Nicolator, it looks like. So Nicolator trying to make a move on Springflower just ahead of the battle we were watching, and yeah, just too heavy under braking. No ABS once again. Help these cars stop, and way too quick into that corner. Meanwhile, fighting for that 5th spot, here comes Tonlo at the back of Eat My Dust and Joshua Spears. Spears, one of those drivers looking to really capitalize on his performances of late. At Homestead, Miami, not quite as good a performance as I'm sure he would have liked to see. That being said, it wasn't bad at all. Just finishing behind the 2 drivers of Simply Steve and Eat My Dust. I'm sure wanting to rectify that this time around, as Eat My Dust is right in front. Remember, that is Upfront Motorsports and Speed Squad right there on your screen. Fighting for the top place in the team championship. Now that is another reason why we have Simply Steve trying every single measure possible to keep his team in the running, even if he cannot get the top amount of points he can do on his own rig. He's going to try his hardest to get as many as possible. And it looks like Joe Albanese had an incident. We had a few changes for position. And unfortunately, we're going to have a look at what happened there as he has made his way down pit road. And just a bit too deep, but it didn't look like anything. Oh, whoa. And that may have completely ruined that suspension. Yeah, so those barricades there, just in case you're wondering, designed to slow the cars down. Of course, that would be a corner cut if it was a straight way through. So there, for safety reasons, slowing the cars down and making sure they don't come back onto track with a head of steam. But certainly the iRacing gods not liking how close it was to the barricades there. So unfortunately, Albanese having to get in down road, but he did make his way in there under his own power and is now back out on track. So only wish him the best and maybe even catch back up to the pack here. Pick and claw, you never know what could happen as we go further back. Sector right on the back bumper of Springflower, desperately avoiding getting into Springflower and having to go a little bit scenic. Trying the dirt biker's path. Take a quick look at that one once again. Oh, way too deep. You can even see there it looked like Springflower went a little bit wide and lost that spot to Simply Steve as well, because they were so worried about getting one over there. By Sector, that is okay as that has sorted itself out. Now, Nodovan has been under pressure from you know who since the start of this event. And you can just see that the gap just opens up down the straights, and I'm sure you know who is thinking in his own mind, what can I do to catch this guy? Because Nodovan just seems so quick down the straights. But all you can do sometimes if you're not having the ability to pass is just keep the pressure on for as long as possible and hope that guy in front looks at his mirrors one too many times and gets completely stuck and forgets where his markers are to keep him braking in the right way, as Eat My Dust is holding up Joshua Spears, the teammate of you know who, only 2 places ahead. And look at that, Tonlo once again still there. These 3 cars pretty much under a blanket fighting for the 4th position. Speed Squad drivers, namely Eat My Dust and Simply Steve, they know how to defend their positions without causing an incident. As we were just about to put the moz on them right there, as Joshua Spears almost ran up the back bumper of Eat My Dust. Thankfully didn't, caught the inside curbing. That's going to allow Tonlo to get a run. And a little bit of smart play from Eat My Dust goes out wide because he wants to give as much draft as possible to Tonlo to bring those team points down for Upfront Motorsports. And Tonlo takes the position away. Just joined us, welcome to the Just 2 Idiots Cup Series Endurance Series. We have plenty of action on track at the moment. Speaking of, look at this hullabaloo. Simply Steve, Springflower side by side. Just behind them, Nicolator and Bar South also side by side. Simply Steve, all drivers in fact holding on to positions they had before they hit turn 1. Quite a few stories to talk about heading into tonight's event. Let me tell you, it's been pretty incredible racing so far. And a lot more to come, as look at that. Oh, right back with the crossover. We're going to have a look at what the first move was, but for now, It is side by side once again. You know who pulls out in front for the straightaway, but we know that Nodovan has too much strength on the straights and takes the position back on raw Corvette power alone. Unbelievable stuff. We're just going to have a look at what happens into turn one, whether you know who is able to close that gap, and it does not look like he's going to be able to. So we'll take a look at that one and see what transpired. As we were away, the camera was pointed away from these two at the time. And just a very nice, clean dive, but a little bit too much, I think. You know who, clearly trying to put the pressure on Nodovan, but great piece of driving from both these guys. As that is absolutely phenomenal stuff. Tonlo right on the back bumper of Eat My Dust. We have panned the camera away from the battle for second to look at the battle for fourth. They have dropped Joshua Spears by about 0.8 of a second. These two drivers trying to make the most of it. Spears not wanting to be left behind though, has closed the gap up just a little bit in that section. We are closing in on just over 20 minutes now completed in this event. Still got a little bit over an hour to go. And Tonlo takes a little bit wide, but actually perfect line. I thought he might hit the sausage curve on the outside. It doesn't look like he's going to. Let's see if he can reel in the vet. That Porsche screaming with the effort, trying to get as much speed down as possible. Will he go for the dive? No, it looks like he's going to stay behind Eat My Dust for now. And appreciate where he is for the time being. Meanwhile, Far South is crashing right to the back bumper of Springflower. Nicoleta has made the move. Further up ahead, Springflower out wide, leaves enough room. Great racing from the two of them, leaving room for each other. Still side by side, heading into left-hand kink. Almost certainly a one-car corner. How's it going to go? And yes, definitely giving some room is Bar South for Springflower to find their way back up in that position. Joshua Spears now. And Tonlo as well, making their way past Eat My Dust. So much for what I said earlier in the broadcast about them retaining their positions. Eat My Dust has floundered, and we will see what transpired with that. So this is the battle for P4. And Tonlo just ripping it round the outside. Eat My Dust has no choice but to give him the room. And unfortunately, because of the nature of the corner where he had to leave him room, through went Joshua Spears as well. And that is not going to be something Eat My Dust is going to take lying down, as the two teams are fighting tooth and nail at this point. And Eat My Dust once again goes to the inside line. Corvette power seems to be the way here tonight, heading into turn one. And it's just going to be raw power beating out the technician at the moment. Definitely a much more technical, much more balanced race car is the Porsche. And you can see that around the corners, just able to rip so much more speed out of that machine than the Vets. Corvettes seeming to have that straight line advantage. Joshua Spears trying to use his car's advantage in the corners. A little bit too happy, I think. Too opportunistic, I would say, to try and make a pass there. I'm sure he will dial that one back a little bit further back. Speaking of, 10th position, Nicoleta has passed Simply Steve. And Nicoleta has been moving his way through the field. see if we can make a question to chat like we did last time with our sandwich question. Not sure if I can really think of one off the top of my head right now. I'll get back to you with that in a moment if I can try and my broadcaster brain. I know some people love it and some people hate it. It's one of those things, and that was an interesting maneuver. So it looked like Nicolator was feigning going for a pit stop. Simply Steve was trying to follow in the wake to get that draft, but neither of them decided to come down. Now, once again, we do have a pit strategy of 25 to 30 minutes per fuel range. These drivers will want to extend it just over the 30-minute mark, if they can, as definitely that will allow them to really focus up and get only a 2-stop race, which will save oh so much time, especially on a track like Fuji where the pit lane is not necessarily super long, but the start finish straight is that goes past it, and there was an attempted move there by Dickinson as Donovan ran wide. He's going to run wide again because he's on the exit. He's been given room by you-know-who. And the Corvette is just going to power its way through, I'm sure, at this point. You can just see, there goes the Vet. Nothing you-know-who can do. Power of the Corvette just seems all too much right now. Power package in Donovan's machine proving to be absolutely crazy. Back to the battle with Bar South and Springflower just behind Simply Steve. Ben himself is just behind Nicolator, and behind all of them is Sector. This is a very, very nice battle to see. Sector still has a little bit of residual damage on the right side. See that Corvette not looking like the characteristic smile, a bit more of a half squint. But still trucking along, and an amazing job at that. We're going to go back up front because once again, Spears, sorry, you-know-who is going to try his best, but I'm not sure what he can do. As soon as they get to the straights, it just seems like the Corvette takes off. I know I've said it time and time again, but it is so rare and remarkable when you get a car that is able to gap the one behind on the straight when they're in the draft. That it takes a very, very devoted speed-heavy setup to make that work. And Donovan definitely has brought that here tonight. Hasn't lost out time, it must be said, through all this battling, they have not lost out much time to Dickinson, who's still only about 2 seconds up the road, as you can see there on the odd occasion. So that is very interesting. Speaking of interesting, Springflower down pit road, the very first person to take a stop under green flag conditions, as we've just hit past the 28-minute mark. You know what I've just thought? If we're going on the theme that we had from before, which is what is a sandwich, but we won't go on a similar sort of tangent. We had a Finding Nemo comment reference earlier on before the race began, so we'll bring that up once again. What is your favorite childhood movie? I'm very, very keen to see what everyone's thoughts are. I hope, or just maybe I should just say favorite movie, as some people may not want to reveal their age, and I can completely understand that one. As I must admit, sometimes you walk around and you go, am I really that old? And more often than not, you're really not. But you look at some of the kids around these days and you go, well, sometimes I wonder, you know, you get to the point where you're waking up and you're rolling out of bed, you're not getting up anymore, the traditional sense. Your back just hurts a tiny bit. Maybe that's just my bed. But, you know, keep on keeping on, as it looks like Noah who's going to try and take advantage of that slight mistake from Nodovan running wide. That's not going to be the case as of right now, though. Robert Hill Jr., Eric Fox as well joining us in the booth, saying hello. Apologies if I didn't get there fast enough. Definitely one of those things where my Aussie net decided to take a bit of a dive and not show me the spectator area. But I would, as much as I love you all, I would probably rather have the broadcast being brought to you in terms of racing action as much as possible over broadcast comments. I sincerely apologize saying that. But it is my job, and you guys are also part of my job, so thank you very much once again. Another car guy once again letting us know what we've been thinking this whole time. You know who must be incredibly frustrated because he has the pace on Nodovan all throughout the circuit, and then as soon as they hit that back straight, front straight I should say, just the raw power of the vet just seems to take it away from him. And the problem is that Nodovan can defend all he wants. Remember, Nodovan definitely no slouch either, as he was the fastest driver in all 3 practices heading into tonight's event. He's been practicing and practicing, and it is showing right now. As we can see, Beaver, Sector, Nicolator, Simply Steve, and Book all down pit road. Top 4, the only drivers who have not come down pit road so far: Dickinson, Nodovan, you know who, and Tonlo. And it looks like Dickinson is coming in this time by. Nodovan's going to come in. Will you know who stay out to make something different? No, they're going to come in nose to tail. Fantastic stuff from the two of them. Tonlo going to have to come in as well, as we have passed 32 minutes. Great job from all 4 of these drivers staying out as long as they did. Simply Steve now with the closest battle on track against Nicolator. Keep an eye on where Eat My Dust comes out relative to the top 4, as he is currently sitting in the 5th position. Eric saying no fuel save battle tonight. Well, it definitely might be a fuel save battle, as we can see Simply Steve and Nicolator still fighting it out. Nicolator almost ran just a tad bit too wide. So the top 4 remain in the same positions, or do they? As Tonlo's just getting out as Eat My Dust comes through. It's a battle for the races. Who's going to win? Oh, who's going to win? Who's going to win? And Eat My Dust is going to take it. Back on the old strategy, Tonlo is going to have a little bit more fuel saved up. And no, you're probably right. I think most of these drivers, except for a couple, will be able to stay out and make it on a two-stop strategy. As look at that, Tomo took the spot right back away and is not going to give it up without a fight. Oh, sends it a little bit wide. It went us back to the outside. The inside, which became the outside, which became the inside once again. Still side by side, these two. Definitely enough room left from Tonlo. Fantastic stuff. Let's not forget Tonlo third in the standings, so he knows how to get it done. Again, these driver standings do not take into consideration the drop weeks that these drivers have to add up to their scores. I believe they get one drop week, which will minus the worst result they got out this season. And that will not come into play, so we can see the standings drastically change from that. Look at the power of the Corvette once again. But it's not going to be enough, I don't think. Tonlo looks like running a different setup to you-know-who and Joshua Spears and their team of Upfront Motorsports, because Tonlo has once again stayed in front. It looks like he's got a little bit more speed. And we've been made aware slightly earlier on, but thankfully just caught on to it now. Better late than never. Been given a heads up. That Springflower is Leo Delmas from League Zero, another sporting, I guess another racing series that I take part in, open wheel events. And Nick Beaver's just coming down pit road now. It's an extremely late stop for Nick Beaver, and what is the smoke I've just witnessed? There was smoke on exit of that, and it looks like it'll belong to Joe Albanese. Getting on the brakes just a tad bit too hard, trying to turn while braking, and if you don't have ABS, your car's not going to like it. Simple as that. But fantastic job from him to keep the car underneath him in the right direction. Once again, Eatmadust is trying it on Tonlo and able to make it stick. On board with Joshua Spears behind these two and see how it unfolds. Oh, a little bit of a mistake there. Look at that. Straight away, he's going to cost some spots. Will Eatmadust lose this to Joshua Spears as well? Spears is trying to force it to happen, but it's not going to happen. It does. Spooky Eatmadust though off the circuit just a wee bit. Let's take a look at that one. So down the straight, simply too much speed from the Corvette, as we've come accustomed to. And it looks like trying to make as much speed as possible lost him in the braking zone, couldn't get it done. Although goes back through. Go back to the battle for the second place spot, because look at this. You know who once again all over the back bumper. And once again, we'll give you another idea of just what this looks like. And there goes the Corvette spitting fire. And it just gaps you know who. There is nothing he can do about it. Denny letting us know that Dickinson does have a 3-second lead. And it certainly looks that way as these two continue to battle, but I'm really amazed they have not been dropped by Dickinson as quickly as I thought, even with their ongoing battle. Speaking of battles, let's go back to the 10th position. Nicolator is just a wee bit ahead of this battle. It's simply Steve and Sector. Sector's got his right front fender knocked back into place, as you can see there. Corvette all smiles once again. so close between a lot of these drivers out on track. Let's go back up to the second place battle. Here we go once again. Donovan and you know who, and once again, it's going to end up the same way it has done for so long. And you know, absolutely right, you would be so annoyed if you were you know who. Brandon Dean coming in as well for my man Bar South. Sorry we got to your comment a little bit late again. Apologies for the Australian internet as the way it goes. Definitely prioritising the broadcast over the comment section. I will see it eventually, I promise. As Bar South currently running in the 12th position. About 3 seconds back from this battle between Simply Steve, Sector and Nicolator. And the Ferrari is edging out the Corvettes, which is very interesting to me and leads me to wonder if Nicolator was out towards the battle of not even you know who. Nicolator be able to keep in front of Nodovan the way he's keeping in front of you know who. That is certainly a question to ponder, as we don't find ourselves in that situation at the moment. Dickinson still gaining his lead just a bit, and you can see the lead actually diminishing just as quickly as you know who is dropping back from Nodovan. So it almost seems like Dickinson may be running a very similar setup to you know who in the 3rd spot, who I'm sure is running the same setup as his teammate Joshua Spears. That would make the most sense to me. Two teammates agreeing on which setup works best for them. Of course, you can have 2 individual setups per driver, but more often than not, these drivers working on a consensus and figuring out just what works for both of them. But what they've found to work does not seem to have the pace they need, as Nodovan continues in the 2nd place spot. Ooh, a little bit of a wide berth though for Nodovan. He's going to be right hounded now by you know who. You know who still right on the back bumper. What's he going to do? Tries to take that dive line once again. Maybe just unsettle Nodovan. And Nodovan is not having it, and he knows he's got all the power to use on the straight, and stays in front for the moment. And yes, Eatmadust has pitted, that is for certain. Eatmadust pitted the lap before 4 drivers out front, as well as Joshua Spears. They both pitted on lap 19, as opposed to Dickinson, Nodovan, you know who, and Tonlo all pitting on lap 20 of this race. Just about the 30 to 32 minute mark, I believe, was the gap between the 2 deciding to pit. In terms of the 1 extra lap, it's about a 1.5 seconds, so if Dickinson, Nodovan, you know who, and Tom Lowe pitted at around about 32 minute mark, which is around about when they pitted, then you can be sure that just after 30 have been others, as Albanese jumps out of the way of these battling cars as 4th and 6th make their way through. So there is your gap. Out front has been closed on by Nodovan and you-know-who. Look at that. That gap is actually coming down. And that is very interesting to see. So the gap is about 1.5. See just where that Porsche is so much quicker. As you can see, the gap just keeps on expanding. And then they get to a straight, boom. The expand comes down, and there's a little bit of a wide run. Taking the initiative, trying to squeeze him out is you-know-who, but it's not going to happen. Not even just too much pace. And with such a long straightaway. Oh, another dive bomb, but not an aggressive one. Could have been a lot worse than it was. It was actually very, very clean pass. Not a dive bomb at all. As Nodovan has to now follow in the wake of you-know-who. And a little bit of a gap has formed. Will there be enough separation between the two of them? Nodovan's going to have that draft now. Let's see if he can reel in you-know-who, who is trying desperately to get away. Moving all over the track, weaving every which way, trying to break that draft. And just look at the speed. I must admit, there is not much more enjoyable than passing outright pace. But it's not going to make you-know-who very happy at all, as it looks like Nodovan actually has some damage on the front runt of that Corvette. Could just be a small error in the connection to good old land of Oz. Could also be minor contact with another car. Either which way, looks like it's slightly crumpled, which may affect performance, even if slightly. Certainly does not want that to happen with you-know-who right in tow. Does definitely seem like Dickinson is getting caught and then finds himself able to just grab on some afterburners and push that thing to the absolute limit and just gap these two, and then they come back. So that gap just keeps on dwindling. But in a weird pattern, almost like a roller coaster with your up and down. Up and down, up and down, and up and down. As this battle continues, we go back slightly further and this 3-car battle continues. And then we go back slightly further again and this battle still continues. Those are the battles for the 2nd place, the 4th, 5th and 6th positions. And this battle here that we're looking at is 8th position, I believe. Oh, nope, that is AJ, that is Nicoletta. Oh, and Sector goes for a dive on Simply Steve. They touch. That is quite a lot of contact, a little bit airborne. Goes Simply Steve. He is not going to be happy about that. Racing from another rig, not used to it at all. That could be be a big factor as to why the surroundings just might not be exactly where he's used to. Not sure if the exact setup is accurate. If he's usually a VR driver, he's usually driving with 3 monitors, now he's reduced to 1, or vice versa. I do not know the exact parameters of the setup. All I can tell you is that he is not on his home rig. So simply Steve trying to make the utmost of the position he is in. And look at this. Dust has made his way back around Tonlo for the 4th position. And the Corvette's power is on show again. Now it may seem that I am slightly biased in my opinion of, oh yeah, the Corvette's power. I am simply stating facts as I can see it with my own eyes. I am not a, that sounds a bit pretentious the way I say that, but you know what I mean. Not a GM supporter, and I am not a Porsche supporter either. I am me. I'm just that weirdo that sits in the corner and just watching racing. But hey, it is thoroughly enjoying racing. So, I hope you are enjoying it as well as we approach the 1 hour mark. 10 minutes until we get to 1 hour completed. And amazingly, battles all over the place. Look at this now, Simply Steve passing Nicolator. As Nicolator got passed by Sector as well. Holding the inside line. Never going to be able to pass on that outside line there. Someone wants to try and prove me wrong, be my guest, but I have never seen it happen. Be surprised if it doesn't. As it's interesting, I thought there was a bit of a gap building up between Nodovan and you-know-who. You-know-who brought it right back, and I think that's because they were coming down the front straightaway. Once again. How about next time by we do an entire lap with you-know-who as he tries to chase down Nodovan, but in the meantime Tonlo is looking to work his way back on the outside of Dust. And it looks like they're still going to be too wide. Again, trying to make that outside work is almost impossible. Spears tried to make it through as well. Cut off by Dust. That is not going to work. Nodovan got passed by you-know-who in that section. Nodovan is going to come back once again. And as we said, let's go for a lap with you-know-who. are back on the microphone, as you saw right there. Tried to make another pass onto that final corner, but just too much speed has that Corvette ever flexing its muscles. Don't believe anyone else changed position out on track while we were away either, as we get word from Chase in chat. Welcome, Chase. Saying, simply Steve, got 15 minutes of practice on my setup. So Chase, thank you very, very much for lending us your setup. Or lending Simply Steve, I should say, your setup. As he continues around the track, he's usually a VR driver and he's now on a single ultra-wide monitor. Thank you once again for letting us know. That is almost the biggest jump you can do, going from being a VR driver to a single monitor. The ultra-wide definitely helps a little bit, but I will say that you definitely get set in your ways when you're so used to one way of driving or the other. And speaking of driving one way or another, Tonlo driving a completely different way to Eat My Dust, as Eat My Dust drives a different way to the rest of the field. Going off track there. Take a look at what happened to him. Just a little bit too much speed, was about to lose it. Nice save. Comes back on track, giving up the 2 spots, but rejoining in a very safe manner. Now, what is this all of a sudden? But Nodovan very close to the back bumper of Dickinson. Dickinson is going to be feeling a lot of pressure now. He had the road to himself for quite a while. But Nodovan and you know who, even through all this battling, somehow have caught up to the leader. And almost like clockwork, as I say it, Dickinson is trying to run away. EC has come down pit road. First one to do a second stop. Now, unfortunately, that is not going to help him. I don't believe he will have enough to make it to the end as we continue to watch this battle. You know who's going to pass now. Donovan's still there, though, still up the inside. It's not going to be enough. You know who's going to have to back out of that one, almost getting into the side of Nodovan. Still side by side, these two. You know who's got the inside, gonna take it away. Nodovan's got the power, though, once again. All that work will be for naught, as here comes Nodovan and makes that pass once again. Throughout all of this, they are still closing the gap ever so slowly to Dickinson out in front. Absolutely phenomenal racing right here. And Nodovan must be licking his lips thinking, oh, Dickinson is just there, gotta try and get him. Noah who is not going to make it easy though, as he continues to try and put pressure from the rear as well. This battle continues to be spicy. Much better corner by you-know-who. Problem you-know-who has is he's going to have to make a move very early on. I would say that the only way to guarantee, well, I can't really guarantee it because the Corvette has so much power, but the only way I'd say that you can make it so that you-know-who is going to stay out in front by the time they get back to turn 1 is if he makes a pass on that sweeping right-handed corner, which is effectively turn 3 at this circuit. That is how far back it's going to have to be when he makes that move in order to retain the position, is what I do believe. The problem is basically using his advantage of turning in that corner alone just to catch up back to the rear bumper. Nolan at this point. So it is certainly something that he is going to have to keep watch for, as he's dropped back a little bit too far now. Once again, as I said, he's going to have to use this chunk of track to really catch up more than anything else. Spring Flower just made his way out of the pits. Now, he was the first one down pit road that I believe would be able to make it on the two-stop strategy, as we've just hit almost the 1 hour mark. Very, very close. Whether he makes it or not is now very interesting. Bar South down pit road from the 9th position. Now remember, the top 4 drivers all came down at the same time. Lap number 20. Joshua Spears in 5th, the first driver that came down the lap prior to the leaders, lap 19. And I think I could see there just for a minute. Not sure if we'll be able to grab the camera that I really want, but I was going to try and see if I could show you that you can tell the way they're set up, because Nodovan's car, it looked like his spoiler was a lot more flat when we were looking at that section just at the start finish straight. It looked like his spoiler was a lot more flat than Who's, which is a huge part of aero, which helps with downforce and also helps with speed, depending on if you choose more angle over a flat spoiler, which will cut through the air like a knife through butter. Like a heated knife through butter, I should say. As we were just staying with this camera because I really thought it looked nice, to be honest with you. Right up to the back bumper. Unfortunately not going to be able to do it. And as soon as they gear up after the corner, there disappears the Corvette. See if I can get that camera close enough for you. Not sure if you can see it there. See, it looks like the Porsche's wing is just slightly higher, slightly more curved, I should say, in the upper part than the Corvette's flat wing. And I think that is a big attribute to the speed. Some people don't realize that just a small thing like a couple of degrees of difference in the angle of that wing can make a massive impact on speed, especially when you're in the draft of another car. Oh, that's interesting. Dickinson held up by some traffic there on that corner. Looked like that was DC. Not held up in the malicious sense, just held up in the fact that they had to go too wide through that turn. We're going to see how easy it is for Nodovan and Who to get past. Not too difficult at all, as they are given the inside line. Use as they wish. Nicolator is down pit road. McMurk is in the pits. Book has just come down pit road. Penny Dixon very unhappy. Penny Dickinson, sorry, very unhappy with the lap traffic there. I will say it was not a block, just a little bit of impeding in the sense that Dickinson was not able to get the best possible lap time that lap due to a slightly impeded line, which I guess is technically blocking, but I don't think it's enough to really warrant any kind of issue or action. However, it is something that Nodovan is very, very happy to see, as he has pulled right onto the back bumper. But we do definitely appreciate the passion. And I'm sure Dickinson knows as well that if he wants to turn on the jets, he definitely can. He is one of those drivers that routinely find himself up front and will stay there. Noahu and Nodovan still locked in their fight for the second place spot. I think they have been closing on Dickinson even without that lap traffic. I think they have been closing just ever so slightly. Oh, and that is an interesting maneuver. So, Nodovan, Noahu, both down pit road together a lap prior. Tonlo also coming down, deciding that he wants to be part of that action. Dickinson gonna stay out. So Dickinson is the only driver that is continuing to stay out on this strategy. Means he will have to fill up with less fuel. He's down pit road. That could be the make it or break it move right there for Dickinson out front. Nodovan still retaining the second place spot ahead of Yunowahu outside pit road. As those two get back up to speed. Actually, Nodovan gaining a little bit of ground there and easing the pressure off of himself. At least for the moment. We'll see if Yunowahu is able to bring that gap back down. Only time will tell. DC closing back quickly onto the back of Simply Steve. But once again, all drivers have made their way down pit road apart from Dickinson out in front. Surely he's going to have to make his way. He did stay out an extra lap on top, which is absolutely crazy to me. On top of that lap ahead of everyone else. So, makes me wonder if he deliberately saved, and that might be why the strategy was coming down, or the, I should say, interval was coming down between first and second place. Saving a little bit of fuel, trying to make it so that his final stop will take less time than everyone else's. Battle still going on between Simply Steve and DC. That's 6/10 behind. You can see Simply Steve right there on the screen as well. I just can't get over the fact that he had to use a mate's sim rig. That is absolutely phenomenal commitment to the cause. And not doing too bad an effort either, must be said. Steve up 10 spots from where he started. Actually, the biggest mover of the race right now. And there goes Dickinson down pit road. You can see it just at the top of the camera. Where is Nodovan? He's in the final section. I don't think it's going to be enough. As Dickinson does not have a whole lot of fuel he needs to put in that machine. And keep an eye on it as he does have the furthest pit stall, so finally making it to his stall. Down the front straightaway though. He's still sitting in there. Oh, Nodovan might actually have him here. Nodovan does have him, so Nodovan to the lead. Dickinson in second right now. He will hold on to second ahead of you-know-who. But it's going to be down to the last 20 minutes of this one. Dickinson absolutely wasting no time. Look how quickly he chases that gap down. Nodovan has an absolute mirrorful of two Porsches. How strong Nodovan is, as well as Dickinson, as well as you-know-who. I mean, it's just one of those races. Here we come onto the straight. Will it be the gapping that Nodovan is known for? Dickinson's right there as close as he possibly can in the toe. And here the gap starts. Look at the gap that is being put on Dickinson. Not quite as much as the gap to you-know-who though, it looks like. So Dickinson still within striking distance. Nodovan with a little bit of a wibble and a wobble. Bit of shake it on the outside of turn one. That's what's going to happen when you invest solely in speed is everything. We're going to lose grip on the corners, and it looks like there it is right there. The door was open. Dickinson took it. He's going to be on the outside now, though. Over that curb, which is not a very nice one for the car, but makes it stick. Dickinson back to the lead. Ooh, Nodovan tries something, tries to squeak him out. I don't know what squeak means, but trying to edge out Dickinson, trying to freak him out, force an error. Dickinson not having any of it. As Nodovan's goal definitely has to be staying as close as possible to the back bumper of Dickinson and using that Corvette power to really reel in that Porsche. But I think he's going to be too far back to even get a draft right now. Dickinson weaving and wobbling, trying to break that draft. And it looks like it hasn't been super effective. But Nodovan's not going to be close enough to make a move. Oh, Dickinson with a rare spin. What has happened? That has just thrown the lean away. Oh, Penny is going to be reeling after that one. What happened there? Just losing the rear end. Not enough stopping power in that machine, and around she goes. Take a look one more time from the gyro. Oh no, just the slightest extra push of the brake, and round she goes. So Dickinson has all the work to do now in the last 15 minutes. Nodovan gifted first place. You-know-who right behind as well. Once again chasing the back end of that blue and yellow Corvette. Three drivers absolutely desperate to prove themselves over each other. And it is definitely becoming one of those stories that we have absolutely become used to falling in love with in the J2IS Endurance, J2ICS, excuse me, Endurance Series, where we have three drivers, all with potential skill to make it to the end ahead of each other. Dickinson has got a lot of ground to cover. You can see You-know-who is pushing the boundaries as much as possible. He knows that he needs to be right on the back bumper of Nodovan to make anything work. Nodovan has traffic in the form of Springflower just ahead. What is going to happen in regards to this? We'll have a look in just a second. Springflower is going to still be on the racing line. Nodovan is right there. Maybe check up Nodovan just a teeny bit. Springflower is staying adamant and fair enough, not holding up the leaders at all at the moment. Gets out of the way, it looks like right now. Wanting to use all the draft possible is Nodovan, right up to the back bumper of Springflower. And wants to get as much speed as possible and trying, there you go. Now, if that's not the strategy of a car that's trying everything to win, I don't know what is. Not even trying to give the draft to Springflower instead of You-know-who, who almost collects the second place driver under braking. The pressure is just not, it's not doing any favors to any of the drivers out there at the moment. And let me tell you, Nodovan is not sitting pretty in that machine up front either. He will be absolutely sweating in that wheel, on the wheel, focusing way too much on that rear view mirror. And that can cause a lot of incidents down the track, a lot of spins, not paying enough attention to your own line. I know from my own experience that my heart starts beating about 200 a minute regardless. If I'm in the lead with a 2-second lead, I will still have a ridiculous heart rate. Of course, 200 is an exaggeration, but you know full well what I mean, and these drivers are feeling it nonetheless. As Nodovan, You-know-who, Dickinson, all right in the tail end of one another. I have no doubt that Dickinson is going to be able to make his way back up to the front. It's whether or not he'll be able to make a move. And it is just getting to that stage of down to the wire. Dickinson closing up to the back of You-know-who. And we know Dickinson has a little bit more outright speed than You-know-who on the straights. As we did see that come into effect earlier when he was behind. Nodovan didn't lose as much ground. Nodovan invested about as much in speed over turning as you could possibly be in his machine. Just over 10 minutes left, and Dickinson has done what he's needed to do so far. Right on the back bumper, forcing a little bit of an unforced error there to You-know-who. You-know-who gets out of the way. It's a little bit loose, doesn't want to deal with it. He wants to use Dickinson to pull him towards Nodovan up the lead. It's getting very, very spicy up here at the front. Lot of weaving going on from Nodovan, trying to break that draft to Dickinson. You can see who is able to use the draft enough behind Dickinson to pull in that car, so he definitely has enough for the Porsche, just not enough for the Vet. Dickinson is going to have to make it. He's going to have to race absolutely caution to the wind, and I'm sure he will do, as he has done so many times in the past. Now, it must be said, I think we missed it quite a while ago, but Nick Beaver went out of this race. Now, he was at one point our biggest mover, but it looks like he retired early. I think we missed that one in all the excitement. Also lost Joe Albanese and DC. As we are just now hitting the last 10 minutes of the race, Dickinson less than half a second now. Getting very, very close indeed. The driver in front pulls off. Nodovan wants that drafting power that Book can provide. Trying to cut the draft from Dickinson once again. Book backing out of it, so who can go through as well. Who I think is just falling back a little bit too quickly. I don't want to say that he is out of the running just quite yet, as you never know what could happen. It's definitely falling back slightly from these lead two cars. Will Dickinson make a move? Not quite yet. He's thinking about it. Right on the back bumper, about as close to give him a kiss. Here comes Dickinson once again. All over the back bumper of that Corvette. Nodovan is going to make his Corvette as wide as possible. Keep that Porsche behind him. Benny is absolutely thrilled to see this action unfold. Now the car guy letting us know Dickinson being hyper-aggressive is a thing of beauty, and I completely agree. As you can see, the speed from the Corvette is just too much down the straight. But still a faster lap time overall for Dickinson. A little bit of opposite lock action, trying to get all the performance out of this machine. And cutting the absolute most of that bollard. I believe Nodovan actually clipping through it. Thankfully that bollard, not a physical object in the simulator space. Making a move now to the inside of the worst possible overtaking maneuver if you're that Corvette, and making it stick beautifully. So Dickinson to the lead. Nodovan's going to try and fire back. Dickinson holds that inside line basically as pretty much as close as you can physically go. Nodovan's going to have to hold on to the back bumper of Dickinson. It's the only way he's going to make anything happen if he wants that top spot. Just about 6 minutes left. Nodovan, will he be close enough on the exit of the final corner to make a pass again? He tries desperately. About 6/10 behind. Will it be close enough? His driver's trying to weave around to break up the draft. only serves to slow them down a little bit on their top end speed as well, mind you, as Nodovan does use the raw power. Cuts in front of Dickinson. He doesn't want it to happen. He's going to push way too far out though. Nodovan to the outside. Where's he going to rejoin? Still in front of you know who? Yes, he is. But Dickinson definitely has the lead. Noah Who trying to take advantage as well and does so to the inside. Donovan falling back all the way to the third spot in the space of 2 corners. And this is where you know who is going to have to go absolutely suns out blazing, because he is going to have to open that gap as much as possible in the twisty section of this circuit. Impressive comeback after that spin, and I can concur. That is absolutely beautiful, as we've seen Dickinson do so often. Is just on another level sometimes, especially when he knows the laps are coming down and he needs to get all he can. We're going to take a break from the action up front, first time in a little while, and go back to the 10th spot, because things are heating up between Bar South, Sector, and Nicolator in the 9th spot, just ahead of these two. So all these three fighting for the 9th place spot on track. And here comes Nodovan once again. Ooh. Well, that was close. As the two drivers, Nodovan was desperate to get that spot back, and you know who was not backing out. Take a look at that one from a different camera angle. Oh, that's about as close as you can get without netcode saying that that is not the way it should be raced. But you know who knew that it needed to be done to retain the 2nd place spot. And it has paid dividends, as he has opened a 1.5 second gap when it came to the front straight, and even going to build up a little bit more as Nodovan pushing it just a little bit too hard. And that is going to cost him down the straight, riding over those sausages. Just over 2 minutes to go in this one. We're going to have one more lap once this one is completed. Oh wait, what am I saying? Yeah, I think that's right. Quick maths. As look at this, we've got another battle shaping up. 13th place. Springflower and Biker Pilot. Now, I think Biker Pilot's been unlucky with a few spins that have come his way tonight, but he has shown that he does have quite a bit of pace in that BMW. It's just about nailing down that consistency right now, as he is trying to battle out to get into that 13th spot. Sector with Nicolator. Are they going to be? They're so close together. Whoa, a little bit of a cut. That was about as aggressive as I think I've ever seen as a way to cut the draft away. But here comes Sector. It's not going to do Nicolator enough good for the 9th place spot. Sector to the inside. Nicolator's going to have to let it happen. And Sector into the 9th spot. As usual, fantastic battles all throughout the circuit. Here at the Just Two Idiots Cup Series, whether it's the Endurance Series, whether it's the Sprint, I thoroughly recommend you come and join if you've got the rig, if you want to learn what it's like, if you want to have some fun. There are always battles to be had and always people to laugh and maybe share a beer with as well. It may not be physical, but they're definitely there in spirit as well as in your ear. They talk to you virtually. Nicolator's still trying to catch up to the back of Sector, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. Not too far behind these guys are the leaders. As you can see, Dickinson there just making his way into the final couple of corners. Looks like Sector's going to retain a healthy advantage coming down the front straight. Nicolator behind. And they're going to be allowed to do one more lap. And here comes Dickinson. The checkered flag will fly. And with an amazing drive after that spin towards the end, making it in first position. You know who brings it home in second, finally edging out Nodovan who comes in third place. A little bit of a celebratory flashy flash to the cameras. Who's going to be bringing it home in fourth with Joshua Spears rounding out our top 5. Big points day for Upfront Motorsports, so they will progress their lead over Speed Squad, currently sitting in the second position. As we await the final lap of a couple more cars out on track. Let's take a look at one of them right now. And it's going to be simply Steve heading down the front straight. Phenomenal job, our biggest mover in this race, up 10 spots from where he started, down in the 18th position, up to 8th. Fantastic drive. Well worth the effort gone into making that 8th position happen out on track. Congratulations. Thank you very much, Chase, for offering up your sim rig to him and bringing us just more races in general, as well as a much more fun broadcast. And bring up those official results for you, provided they want to work, because so often they decide against me. I don't know why the results, they just don't like me. They never work it out. But there's the results there on your left. So, Dickinson, you know who, Notovan bringing up our top 3. With Tonlo and Joshua Spears in our top 5. Eat My Dust, AJ, Simply Steve, Sector, and Nicolator rounding out our top 10. Bar South, Book, Spring Flower, Biker Pilot, and Garlic Dog in our top 15. With McMurk, DC, Joe Albanese, and Nick Beaver rounding out our top 19. We're going to bring the top 3 drivers in, starting with Nodovan. Nodovan, welcome to the booth. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here, and for a moment there, I thought we might be seeing you in the top spot.
Yeah, it was pretty close. It was pretty intense. I missed my brake mark. I missed it, and we were on the inside. So
Yeah, just a little bit of a miscommunication between your pedal and your foot, more than anything else. But I tell you what, that was a phenomenal drive. I mean, you focused so much on speed over everything else that race. Can you tell us, was that your decision from the get-go before you even knew, as soon as you knew Fuji was on the schedule, was that just your plan straight up?
No, not actually. Initially, I was actually running our setup from Brazil, and then my teammate and I were kind of talking about it, and he just sends me this setup, and I look at it and it has zero wing. I'm like, my man, are you crazy? So massive thanks to him. He couldn't make the race tonight, unfortunately, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, I tell you what, unfortunately, we couldn't have an extra racer, but it seemed to work absolutely beautifully for you. We saw you have all three wins for all three practices, and whether some drivers showed up, whether they didn't, it didn't matter. You and you know who completely stole the show. It was absolutely amazing. I can't tell you enough how much fun it was to watch you guys battle.
Yeah, it was pretty nice because he was a lot quicker than me in the corners, but like you can't pass in the corners. It's just impossible if you and then if he did get past me, I would just go in his toe for a second. I'd come out and I'd I'd exit the straight like 2 tenths ahead of him.
Yeah, it seemed like it was just all straights for you tonight, all pedal to the metal, and it worked out really, really well. Unfortunate not to bring home a first or even a second, but I tell you what, third for 19 cars, that's still a fantastic result. Before we let you go, who would you like to shout out? Friends, family, sponsors. The floor is yours.
This one has to go to my teammate. I mean, he made this awesome setup. I think it actually may have been modified from our Lamar setup, but I'm not entirely sure about that. But either way, it was a complete rocket ship on the straight. So I'd like to thank him for that.
All right, sounds good. All right, Nodovan, we will let you go. We look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks once again for the final round of the series. I believe it is a crown jewel at Indianapolis, so we look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, I believe that'll be in 3 weeks, but yeah, it'll be a good one.
Oh, is that 3 weeks? Man, I. Oh, all right.
Yeah, we're actually skipping next week because of the Daytona race, and then in 2 weeks is when the sprint final is.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that that's good. I know that. Sounds good. All right.
Have a good day.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you later, regardless of when we do see you. We will see you. I've got to wrap up this video. Not this video, but anyway, it doesn't matter. See you later, Nodovan.
I broke you.
I think you did. that was not even relishing in my unfortunate mishaps with communication. We bring up you know who for the second place spot. It was an absolute slugfest between yourself and Nodovan. And I gotta say, you kept your cool through the majority of that race. I mean, I don't think I have that much mental strength. Did you do any sort of do you do anything to mentally prepare yourself for any of these races, or is it just naturally you're just more of a patient kind of a guy?
Definitely a lot of patience, just in general, meditation, that type of stuff. Today was definitely trying to be careful on the tires and not try to overdrive it, because in practice earlier, found out that we were planning on taking left tires, but really just trying to take it easy here so that I could make it the whole way, and I'm glad I did because I came down to the wire.
It really did. It came down so close towards the end there. Now I have to ask you, when you saw that spin from Dickinson, were you thinking that you had a chance at the win?
I did, until I checked my relative about a lap later, and I know Sean typically has pace on me at most tracks, and so I didn't want to fight him, especially since he had that incident. So I thought it was a possibility, but I wasn't gonna scrap for it.
Yeah, well, speaking of Dickinson, I know that we often have talked about how you guys are fairly good friends. Now, I've got to ask you, we know that you've used very similar setups in the past. It did look like Dickinson had a bit more top end speed than you this time around, though. Did you change the setup in some way which may have limited a little bit your performance down on the straights?
So the setups should have been the same, unless Sean pulled some tricky stuff that he didn't tell me about. But for the last stint, definitely, I think I was down on aero and maybe top speed because I had hit a sausage curb and had some front aero damage there.
All right. Well, that is absolutely unfortunate. But hey, second place is phenomenal, especially when Dickinson is out on track. We'll let you go, but before we do, who would you like to shout out? You know who? The floor is yours, friends, family, sponsors, whoever you'd like.
Big shout out to Sean for helping make the setup. Josh, definitely my teammate. We put in some good practice. We put in some good effort. As always, thanks to my mom and dad, and as always, glory to God. Thank you.
That sounds good. We will see you in a number of weeks. I believe it's 3 weeks, is what I'm being told. For our next race, we're taking a week off. So we will see you then, and I'm sure we'll see you up in the booth once more.
Thank you. Thank you. Can't wait.
Right, that was You Know a Who bringing it home in the second place. Up next, certainly last but not least to the broadcast booth, because he is the man, the myth, the legend, Sean Dickinson. Welcome once again to the booth. How was that race for you? It seemed like a roller coaster, just easy cruising at the front to, oh no, what am I going to do? To back to the front. I mean, talk us through it.
Yeah, it was I was fuel saving like the entire race just because I knew that was gonna work. I knew how close we were if we didn't fuel save, so we went a little overboard. I went too far on the second stint. I was just trying to see how far I could physically push it because I was just pretty bored. And then I didn't want to end up behind Nodovan. That was a problem because he was so fast in a straight line that it made it very difficult to get by him. So other
Yeah,
than that, though, it was a pretty boring race overall. Just chilling.
all right, well, Sean, I got to be honest with you. Do you feel like you're ever going to make some enemies up in the rest of the field? Um, I guess, and just from the fact that you're so much quicker than seemingly everyone else, and you reckon people get a bit envious of that and might not be super super happy with how you're able to do that. But I mean, kudos to you. If you've got the speed, I mean, might as well bloody use it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't saying the race was boring because I was faster. It was boring because fuel saving is just completely. You're just sitting there with the clutch in. You're not doing
Gotcha.
anything. You're not pushing. You're not pushing yourself at all. But as far as the other people, I feel like I'm pretty helpful and provide setups for people and help them get faster and stuff. So
Yep.
I would hope not. I hope I don't make any enemies.
Yeah, just for reference for you as well as everyone else, I didn't mean that in a bad way. I had a discussion with a couple of races before this event took place, and they were all talking about how much faster you are than them, and and stuff like that.
Oh,
They told me that I should ask you if you're probably in a nicer way, if you're a bit, if you feel the envy on your back, I guess is kind of think I'm not doing it justice, but that's kind of the vibe
yeah,
that I was trying to pull out with that.
yeah, yeah. No, not with this group of guys, but like in official races, definitely. Because I like racing the GTEs and they're not very popular, so you'll get a guy that's got a third or half the I rating and they're up with me and oh they raise me like I'm like completely out to get them, or even I'll make a comment about a car or something will help someone set up and they just immediately assume I'm like some stuck up the
Yeah,
words I can't say.
yeah, no, I fully
So
understand you with that.
yeah,
Yeah, but hey, I mean, everyone's different and everyone has different personalities, different modes, different everything. But I'll tell you what, Dickinson, what's not different, or what's, yeah, you know what? Let's go with that. What's not different is week in, week out, you continue to absolutely amaze me with your pace. Little bit of a worry there. I think you may have given Penny a tiny bit of a heart attack when you had that spin up at the front, but managed to salvage it, and that was incredible as usual. Watching you do your thing and catch back up to Nodovan, who was trying desperately to sneak away from you.
yeah, yeah. I lucked out there. I don't know what it is with turn one. If you brake too much a little bit too late, it just the rear end comes around regardless of what brake bias you got. I don't understand that one. So it's always been a mystery, but
I
Yeah.
think you're just carrying so much speed and it's a little off camber because it sort of turns down, and I think it's just a mix of a multitude of factors. But hey, this interview
Yeah.
is going a bit too long, and that's my fault, so I apologize for that. But before we let you go, would you like to shout out friends, family, sponsors, anyone watching? The floor is yours. You've earned it, my friend.
All good. Yeah. Shout out to my team, SimCity Racing. Haven't been doing much with the team lately. I've just been taking a break mostly, but I love my mom still watching, hanging out with Josh and Noah and helping them with setups, helping them get faster. Love seeing Noah up on the podium again. Was hoping Josh would be there too, but yeah, it didn't quite work out. But just a fun time. Glad everyone likes it, enjoys it.
I'm sure they do. I know I certainly do from watching. We will see you, I believe it's 3 weeks, is what I'm being told. From
I
now,
think so.
as I
Might
think
be
we're
2 weeks. I'm not
taking
sure yet.
it would usually be 2 weeks, but I think we're taking the week off. But that will be confirmed, I'm
Yeah.
sure, on the Discord at some point soon. But anyway, Sean, it has been absolute pleasure talking to you, and I'm sure we'll see you up here in the booth for the Crown Jewel race whenever it may come to pass.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll see you then.
Sounds good. All right, that was Sean bringing it home in the top spot. This interview series has gone on a little bit long, and I apologize for that. We will try and wrap it up. So, on behalf of Team Goon Squad and the Just Two Idiots Cup series, I have been your host, Gareth McAllister, bringing you all the action out on track tonight. Hopefully, I did a good job. Hopefully, you enjoyed it. Click on the like button if you did. It really helps us out and lets us know if you very much enjoyed the content you saw. Now, we are looking forward to seeing you back. I believe it's going to be 3 weeks. I'm getting a bit of mixed signals, but I believe it will be 3 weeks. It'll also be 1 hour earlier because it will be the Crown Jewel, and I should be joined by another broadcaster as they often have a dual broadcast for that time as well. So thank you very much for watching. We look forward to seeing you then. Have a good night.